Okay, YouTubers, just thought I'd do a quick update on my above ground Bestway pool. Had a few issues, which was one of the things I thought I would have done better if I was to do it again. At the end of the last video I did mention about putting something underneath the stilts or the U-braces, because they did start to sink. Not so much the stilts, but the U-braces. Once when I was filling the pool, some of the water, I overfilled the pool, some of the water came over, it went down into the side of the garden. I think that made the grass a bit moist, which then started or created the sinking of the U-braces. So top tip, do that, put those in, or whatever you're going to put in. I use small some slabs which I had left over from something else. Do it before you fill the pool, because you do pretty much have to empty the whole pool to do that. However, not all was lost. I think we got about a foot in the bottom of the pool which we managed to retain, but once that was in, it took two people to lift up the braces, the U-braces, and one person to slide underneath, and the same with the upstands as well. Two people to lift up on the upstand and slide under these concrete slabs. So that was a point to note. The other thing was the solar heater. During the period of the pool being full and the solar heater working, honestly it doesn't work very well. It's not the best thing I've ever come across or used. Personally, I would go for an electric heater, which I have done, but it's yet to still arrive. So because I want to get this up and running for the kids for the weekend, what I'm doing now is I'm actually filling the pool with hot water from the house. Quite expensive way of doing it. I am on oil, as you can see. I've got my oil tank there and I'm using the oil boiler to heat the water, but I am getting rid of that tank, so I do need to run it down. So this is a good excuse to do that, to get rid of the last of my oil from the winter. So I'm running my hot water tap or connection, which is in here. I had a leftover old hot water feed, which was a washing machine down there at some point, onto a speed connection, hose lock connection, through the hose pipe, out the window, and then over to my heat exchanger, my solar heat exchanger, into the solar heat exchanger, through the heat exchanger, and then out and into the pool. So a lot of you might be thinking, it's quite warm coming out of there now, a lot of you might be thinking, how am I doing that? The boiler, if you only run the tap at a low speed, the boiler can keep up with the demand that's needed to keep the water warm. It's not hot, it's warm. So at the moment the pool is at about 25 degrees, which is perfect, although it does take a bit longer to fill it. So this has been filling now for about 24 hours. We're about, I'd say, 75% of the way there, but I have got a 25 degree pool. If that pool heater arrives between well, now and over the weekend, I'll be in a better position to maintain that temperature from 25 degrees with a 2 kilowatt pool heater, as opposed to running the pool heater from standing start of mains pressure temperature, which would have been about maybe 14 degrees. That would have taken a lot longer to heat up, and probably would have cost a lot more in electric to do that. So this way, with the fact I've got to get rid of the oil anyway, and oil is actually 20 pence a litre now, believe it or not, heating oil, which is ridiculous amount of money to be paying for oil. However, we'll be taking advantage of that as well. This, I think, is a better option anyway. So I've got a 25-degree pull, just so I can show you there. Look, I said in the last video about it bowing in. It doesn't look right, but it's fine. As it fills up, it does straighten itself out again. I don't think I showed it in the last video, because when I did the video, the pull was already full. So you see both sides have bowed in. As the pull rises, the level rises, it will straighten itself out. I've also, from another Bestway pull, which I bought last year from Aldi, which was a round one, I salvaged from that. I didn't salvage it, but there's nothing wrong with the pull is fine. It's just a smaller version of this, really. All the fittings are practically the same, all the hoses are the same, the filters a little less complicated, but it's practically the same, does the same job. But it did come with a couple of bits that this one doesn't, which one of them is this little thing here, which is a water skimmer. So if you look at the bottom of the skimmer, just get on that. See, at the bottom of the skimmer, it's connected to the inlet of the pump, so it sucks the water out of the skimmer into the filter, which is now full of sand, which got delivered yesterday. So I've got my sand in there as well now, so that's ready to go, and then back into the pool. Okay, so the reason for this is stuff that floats around on the water. You fill up the pool to above the level of the white container, which makes this float up and down. And with that floating up and down, the water and the suction of the pump pulls it up and down like that, and anything floating on the top of the water just naturally falls into the bucket, which then filters into the pump, goes through the sand and then back out. So you're not only just sucking water in, you're sucking the surface contaminants, which can be flies, birds, feathers, stuff like that. And then every now and again you pull your bucket out, empty the sieve, and then put it back in. So it's quite it's more for like the heavy debris as opposed to contaminants in the water like algae. That's dealt with by the filter, the sand in the filter itself. So that's something else I managed to salvage. And somewhere else in this pool, I'm not sure where it is, don't know where it is. There was a temperature, a little floating temperature probe. Oh, there it is. This, so you can see there, let's get it in the 24 degrees, just sits in the pool. That came with the old Bestway pool as well. So a couple of little bits there which I've managed to salvage, which these don't come with, which would be handy to have. You can buy them on the Bestway website. You can, they're online if you need them. But I was looking for other things and I found those from the old pool. So hope this video is informative. Learn from my mistakes, because the most difficult part of doing this after we found out that it was sinking was emptying the pool. It's a lot of water. You can't just dump this in the back garden. It would sodden everything, and all the neighbours' gardens would have been flooded. So you have to gradually drain it. The easiest way to do it is to just pull the plug out of the bottom of the pool and let it drain, but you can't do that. So what I've had to do was take my hose pipe and, using the siphoning method, siphon the water out. So dump it into the pool, suck some water to get the water level lower than the pool, and just let it drain naturally into a drain. It's a very slow way of doing it, but it's less intrusive to everything else. Like I say, that was a pain in the bum to do that, so just bear that in mind when you're emptying the pool, or bear that in mind if you're thinking about not using slabs. If you don't do it and you have to empty the pool, it's a pig to do it. So it's hard enough to put the slabs under, but emptying the pool is a right pain. So go with my advice, which is also out there on other YouTube videos. I didn't listen because I'm an idiot, but I was hoping that my ground was hard enough. It wasn't. Even with my ground sheet that I put in, it wasn't enough to stop the water, the ground from becoming wet with overspilling of the pool, which is going to happen naturally, especially when the kids get in it and start jumping around. There's going to be water going everywhere. So just bear that in mind as well. Okay, thanks for watching, and catch you on the next video.